What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. And I wanted to talk to you today about financial coaches. There are a lot of them out there. Some of them dispense advice on how to start a practice, how to work with people, how to coach people, their techniques, what resources to make, what tools they use, all those things. And the question has come up a couple times is, which coach should I follow? Which coach should I mimic? And the answer is, I think you should follow and listen to a number of coaches, because ultimately what you want to do is figure out how to make or establish and build and sustain a practice that is going to feel right for you, that is going to fit into your lifestyle. In the creator world and the YouTube world, we call it making content that fits your lifestyle, things that you already do, not necessarily that you would create a video around, but if you love to travel and make travel videos, then you're just adding on a layer of work onto something that you already love. And so one of the things that you don't necessarily want to do is coach or work in a style or use techniques that don't really align with your personality. You probably, if you are in this business, probably are doing some coaching already, probably do some mentoring, some guidance, some tutoring, any one of these things. And you just have a style about you. You have a way of talking to people. Maybe you like sharing stories or metaphors, or maybe you like asking probing questions, or maybe you like directing, or maybe you love giving advice, or maybe you love having the eureka moments, or maybe you love dropping money hacks or truth bombs or whatever, right? And so some of the things that some coaches use repeatedly may be things that don't really work for you. Like I said, I'm a little bit more of a pragmatic coach. I kind of like the numbers. I look for evidence-based solutions. I follow the data. But there are some and coaches that I work really well with. A friend of mine, Jill, is much more of an empath coach, much more empathetic. And it's just her personality. It's also her journey that led her to that. Having some broken home history in her past. I didn't have some of those things. So what I don't want to do is try to craft a method or a strategy that is based on someone else's life that I can't really embrace, that I can't really feel. The saying, you either got Jesus in your heart or you don't. It's one of those things where if you like working with people who are emotional about their money, because you can understand that and you can speak to that and you can say, hey, you know what you're probably thinking right now is this and this, because I've been there and I've done that and I've thought the exact same things. And they're going to listen to you because you share that path. On the other hand, for me, I work with some people in financial independence and the financial independence retire early movement. And when I say, hey, what you can do is you can house hack by buying a multi-unit dwelling here, paying one property tax bill, living in one unit, paying that down, depreciating the asset, whatever it might be. And so that's where I feel most comfortable and also see excitement brewing with the other people. So it's just a matter of personality and preference in many ways. And we all have some of these different things. One of the things that I will say is there's probably an exercise in self-awareness that I really want you to do, because I think sometimes we see certain people, certain coaches, certain celebrities, money gurus, whoever, and we say, man, I wish I were like them. There are people I look at and I say, man, I wish I were like them. And I realize that I don't have their good looks. I don't have their suave voice and their movements and their gravitas and whatever it might be, and their intellect. That's probably the big thing. Probably not the first thing that comes to mind, because I ain't that smart all the time. But there are other people that maybe I don't look to that with that same kind of reverence or admiration, but I'm like, you know what? They have kind of the same shortcomings that I do. They have some of the same strengths I do. And if I want to be successful in this world, and if I want to find my place and make my mark and stand out and have a niche and have a differentiator, what I want to do is leverage the lessons they've learned. How did they figure out how to build a business by not being the tallest guy in the room, not being the best looking, not being the best dressed or most well-spoken or most educated or having the biggest network or coming from a family that was well-connected or whatever? These are all things, by the way, that I have to overcome on my own. But there are other people that don't struggle with any of those things. And so to me, despite the fact that I might want to be a Tom Selleck, I'm probably more like, I don't know, Tobey Maguire. And that's okay. Look, I can aspire to the Tom Selleck, but what I don't want to necessarily do is just duplicate what he's done. I don't necessarily want to use his techniques and his tricks of the trade. What I do want to do is find someone like the Tobey Maguire who has been able to be successful with my same shortcomings and strengths. And that's what I'm saying about financial coaches. There are financial coaches who have personalities like you, maybe have backgrounds like you, maybe limited resources like you. And there are maybe financial coaches that are coming from the industry and financially secure like you, and with a broad network and a huge following on social media and a lot of influence in your community and maybe famous like you. And so what I'm saying is you can listen to a bunch of these people for one, and maybe model yourself after a business that you think you can duplicate. On the other hand, I also believe that you might be able to take lessons and tips and tricks from people that maybe aren't quite like you and explode them. Maybe something that has worked for some people in another situation and they've got limited results, you could take and blossom and get a lot of results. For example, a friend of mine, Jessica Jimeno, she is a Filipino influencer and speaker, and she has a number of chronic immune disorders, pretty debilitating disorders. She walks with a crutch. She has some limitations. She doesn't work full time. She is disabled. She talks about ADA compliance and a lot of other stuff. But one of the things that she did, not what I thought was really great, is she did a video on how she finds motivation to get up and work out despite having disabilities. And one of my thoughts there was, if you've got someone who has chronic illnesses, who has immune system deficiencies and autoimmune diseases, and yet can find a way to push through those physical problems, the mental problems that come with that or are exacerbated by that, and get in the gym and work out and invest in yourself, why can't the rest of us? And so I've just used her as motivation for myself in many cases because I've thought, man, I've got advantages. I'm so lucky that I don't have kind of the disabilities that she does. And yet she does so much with her life. Why can't I do that? And you might find the same in my coaching business. I feel like I've done all right with my coaching business. I'm comfortable with it. I've come to terms with it in terms of I don't want to grow it anymore, but I don't just want to let it just die on the vine either. And I'm in this cruise control mode. And maybe you want to get there, but that's not how I started. But you might be able to take some of my lessons and just leverage them to the next level in a way that are beyond my comprehension, in a way that I would have never thought of. On the other hand, you might say, hey, that's just not going to work for me because Pete, your personality is a little different, or the way you try to leverage technology is different than me. I want to work more locally. I want to work with people in person, whatever it might be. So basically my advice here is when people say, hey, which coach should I listen to? Which coach should I try to duplicate? I'm not sure because I don't necessarily have enough time with everyone to really get to know their personality or their strengths or their preferences. But if you're self-aware about it and you're thinking about these things and you find some coaches that you're like, I am pretty similar, I would certainly follow them. I would certainly listen very closely to them. But I would also expand your repertoire and listen to some other coaches, maybe some coaches who are very different. In fact, there's a financial coach, Jeremy, I won't give his last name here, but he coaches in a very different way than I would. I think I'm pretty direct and to the point, but he is very direct. He is very prescriptive in a way that would pull me outside my comfort zone. I don't feel like I would coach like that, but I follow him and I listen to him, and he runs a very successful business, a 7-figure business. And one of the reasons that I follow him is because there are people that want that. And so I'm not saying that's my personality to serve those people that want that much direction, but there are people that want that kind of direction. And so I just have to remind myself that there are different types of people out there. And luckily, there are many different types of coaches. So what I'm saying here is basically, you might find someone that you are very similar to, that their path, their strategies, their techniques are going to work for you. And there's nothing wrong with borrowing those and taking those and duplicating it. But what I would encourage you to do is learn from all these other people too. I meet coaches of all different stripes. I go to conventions, meet other financial coaches. Some are running 7-figure businesses. Some are running a little side hustle that brings in an extra few $100s a month, whatever it is. I can see the value in them. And I can also see value in their techniques and strategies. And so sometimes I love borrowing some of those, even though they may not fit me perfectly. Sometimes they're using something that actually is not fitting them perfectly, and I can use and leverage even more than they can. But there is some benefit to keeping the doors open, the ears to the ground, listen to all the voices and take what you can use, because I might have a totally different direction than some other coach. I might have totally different advice. I may say to not do something where someone else says to do something. Like I've said in previous addresses, I don't like the term paycheck to paycheck. I think it's confusing. I hate the word empower because I think it's condescending to people. But I know people who have put empower in their business name, Empower Your Financial Freedom Inc., whatever it might be. And so I know that there are people that are doing the exact opposite of what I would coach them to do or suggest how they build their business or how they target or market or even work with people. And they can make a successful business out of it. So I'm not saying it's my way, or that's the only way to build a business. So what I'm saying is that I have my preferences and my experiences. And if you listen to a bunch of people, you'll be better off for it. So all I'm saying is, yes, hopefully maybe you've taken away some nuggets, some pearls here once in a while, some things that you can use. Hopefully there have been some things that'll be helpful to building your business, to doing effective coaching, whatever it might be. But I am sure that there are going to be greater moments and discoveries from other people. Stay open-minded, take it all in, soak it in, absorb it, and hopefully that will help you become the best coach you can possibly be. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.